You know how fast the AI news cycle moves, right? It's relentless. But every once in a while, you feel the ground actually shift beneath your feet. Well, that's what's happening right now. We are crossing a huge threshold, moving past the phase of just wild experimentation and into an era of full-blown industrial deployment. This quote, man, it just says it all. It perfectly captures the mood in the industry. The focus is finally shifting away from the flashy, look what I can do demos and toward the really hard work of making AI reliable, essential, and, actually useful. It's not about what AI could do anymore, it's about what it is doing, right now, at a massive scale. Okay, so this is the crucial idea you've got to get your head around. We need to stop thinking about AI as just some clever piece of software and start thinking about it like a fundamental utility. It's literally becoming the new power grid. Think about it. You just expect electricity to be there when you flip a switch. That's what AI is becoming. A foundational layer that new industries, new science, and entirely new ways of working will be built on top of. So if AI is the new power grid, where are they plugging things in first? Well, one of the first and most mind-blowing places this new infrastructure is being laid down is in science itself. AI is no longer just another tool in the lab. It's becoming the entire workbench, a lab partner, and a superpowered library, all rolled into one.
A perfect example is OpenAI's new Prism workspace. Look, the scientific process can be messy, right? You're juggling a dozen different apps for writing papers, analyzing data, talking with your team. It's a huge pain. The goal with Prism is to smooth all of that out, to reduce the friction by putting everything in one spot. And the emphasis is really clear. This is about augmenting the human researcher, making them better and faster, not replacing them.
And then you've got this from DeepMind, AlphaGenome. This is a huge deal. You probably remember how AlphaFold totally transformed protein research. Well, AlphaGenome is poised to do the very same thing for DNA. But here's the real kicker, the part that matters for deployment. It can run on a single H100 GPU. That means smaller labs, universities, even startups can now do research that used to require a massive, expensive supercomputer. It's a massive step in democratizing who gets to make the next big discovery. Of course, building a brand new power grid for the world doesn't just happen. It requires two things in absolutely staggering amounts: capital, we're talking tons of money, and the actual physical hardware, the silicon, to run it all on. So let's take a look at what's happening on those two fronts. And when I say a ton of money, I mean just look at this number, $10 to $15 billion. That is the reported size of Anthropic's latest funding round. It's a number so big, it's almost hard to process. We're talking about a capital injection that's bigger than the GDP of some small countries, all pouring into a single AI company. And that money is flowing because of this. This chart shows the incredible confidence investors have. A jump from $60 billion to $350 billion in under a year. That's not just speculative hype. That's a serious, long-term bet that Anthropic is building something absolutely foundational for the entire enterprise world. But to make that infrastructure actually work, you have to control the cost. See, at an industrial scale, the cost of just running these models, what's called inference, is astronomical. So what do? You build your own custom chips. That's exactly why Microsoft is making its Maya 200 chip. And at the same time, you have NVIDIA coming out with its Rubin platform. Both of these are laser-focused on one thing: slashing those operational costs to make AI viable for the long haul. Okay, so the science is being rewritten, the financial and physical backbone is being built, but where does the rubber actually meet the road? It's inside businesses, big and small, where AI is quickly evolving from a cool curiosity into a core, can't-live-without-it operational tool. And guess who's leading the charge? Anthropic. Remember that crazy valuation we just saw? Well, this is why. They have managed to capture nearly a third of the entire enterprise market, and they did it by focusing on exactly what big companies need: scale, reliability, and security. It's a strategy that is clearly massively paying off. The evolution here is absolutely key. We're moving so far past the simple question and answer chatbot. Companies like Anthropic are transforming their AI into interactive workspaces that can plug right into the tools businesses already use, like Slack and Asana. This changes the AI from just a passive assistant you ask questions to into an active participant in the actual workflow. Now, if you're in a heavily regulated industry like finance or healthcare, control is everything. You can't just let an AI run wild. That's why what xAI is doing with its model, Grok, is so important.
They're building a whole control layer that lets companies tune its behavior, manage its tools, and audit its actions. This isn't a nice to have. For serious deployment, this level of governance is non-negotiable. It's a huge sign of a maturing market. So this deployment isn't just happening in the digital world. AI is starting to move out from behind our screens and into the physical world around us. But as it does, we're also starting to run smack into some very hard, very real limitations. First, let's just talk about sheer mind-boggling scale. The now confirmed partnership between Apple and Google is going to put Google's Gemini models right at the core of Siri. In one single move, this deal embeds advanced AI across more than 1 billion active devices. It's a consumer-scale strategy that completely changes the game.
And this shift is happening physically too. You've seen those incredible Boston Dynamics robots, right? Well, now they're partnering with DeepMind to give the Atlas robot a brain powered by a foundational model. At the same time, DeepMind is creating models that can understand scenes in 4D, that's 3D space plus the dimension of time. This is the foundational tech you need for truly smart robots, for autonomous cars, for augmented reality. It's happening.
But, and this is a really, really big but, right in the middle of all this incredible progress, we're getting a major reality check. New research is providing mathematical proof that today's AI models have fundamental limits. It basically says that no matter how much bigger we make them, they just can't perform certain types of reasoning. The takeaway isn't that progress is stopping, it's that the old playbook of just scaling up is over. We need entirely new ways of building these things. So what does all this mean? Where does it leave us? Well, it means we're in a completely new era of industrial deployment, and the rules of the game are changing for absolutely everyone, from the smallest startups to global superpowers. And we're seeing two very different strategies emerging on the world stage. In the US, you've got companies like OpenAI and Anthropic focused on building these massive proprietary models to win over the enterprise market. But in China, companies like Zhipu and Moonshot are using a different tactic entirely. They're releasing powerful open source models at a blistering pace to win the trust of developers everywhere and shrink that technology gap. And this brings us right back to our central theme. The game has changed. Success is no longer going to be defined by who has the most impressive one-off demo at a big press conference. The new winners, they're going to be defined by these industrial-grade metrics. Can your system run reliably 24/7 without failing? Can it be governed and audited? Is it cost-efficient enough to actually deploy to millions of users? And the most important question of all, does it deliver real, measurable value in the messy, complicated real world? That is what deployment demands. So what's undeniable is this. The infrastructure for a whole new age of intelligence, the concrete is being poured, the wires are being laid, and the power is being switched on as we speak. And that leaves us with one final huge question to chew on. As this new global power grid comes online, who is going to control the switch?